Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Bitcoin. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so in the previous video, we were talking about a couple of possibilities here, looking at this potentially as being a fourth wave into this zone, and then looking for that potential that we could see a five-wave move to the upside, target area being this 32,942 to this 32,216 level. Now, if we are still looking for this potential, what we were talking about was actually looking at this move as a corrective structure down here. So I'm actually going to just remove this count for a second. And we are talking about that possibility that what we could have had here is that this is W, this is X, and this is Y. Now, it is possible here that because we actually came down and took this low point here, this could actually be A, B, and C here, in which case actually this corrective move completes into this low rather. So what I'm looking out for here is the potential that if we still have that fifth wave up here, we could be starting to build this as 1 2 1 2 here, and then looking for this as 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 4 5, and then actually looking to push up in that way. Now, the area that we need to be cautious of, however, for this potential of a continuation to the downside here would actually be the 31,111 to this zone here of this 30,688. So we've actually come up into this 50% already, and at the moment all we have is a three-wave move. So we just need to be cautious here. If this if this W wave is actually over here, what we could actually see is that this whole move could be a corrective X wave here. Now, if this is the case, this could potentially mean that we could see price fall down again, looking to actually target out some of these areas. A minimum requirement would be this 29,895 at this 0.618, as well as that we do have this 29,353 level lower down here, which is our 1-to-1. So we'd be keeping an eye on that level if we do actually look to push to the downside here again. Now, if we do actually look to have an interaction with the top of this channel, this could potentially look to push us up into this golden pocket area, which is sitting here at this 30,910 to this 30,862 level. Now, if we did see something like this, what we could potentially see is price could be rejected off this level, and we could see another move to the downside, looking to actually test the bottom of this channel again. So we're going to have to be keeping an eye on this. If we fail to achieve the impulsive moves that we're going to be going over in a second here, we could actually be looking for something like this to play out. So I'm going to go over some of the smaller time frame counts within this idea of this being W, X, and Y here, and the alternative that we could have completed into this point here and looking to actually break to the upside. So one of the things that I'm looking for here, so bear in mind this is going to be our target area, this 31,111 to this 30,688, which we are already within. So one of them is that we could potentially be looking at something like this, where we're actually forming this as a flat correction here. Now, there's a couple of ways we can look at this. Potentially we could argue that this could actually be completed where this is 1 2 3 4 and 5 as a diagonal pattern, looking at this in this way where we have this wedge shape over here. So that would actually be looking at effectively something like this. Now, if we are looking at this as a potential diagonal here, what we'd have to say is this was 1 2 3 4 and 5, and then we could be completed. Now, if this is the case and we are in a flat correction here, this could mean that that X wave is actually completed, and we could be looking to fall down here, and confirmation that this is a flat actually comes by crossing this 29,930. For as long as we remain above that, there is always the potential that we could actually look at this as the beginning of that wave 5, where this could be a wave 1. We get a three-wave move back to the downside here, looking to target out this 30,355 to this 30,111 area, and then we could actually look for that potential continuation back to the upside. Now, if we do see something like this, interesting zone would actually be looking to have an interaction again with the center channel line. This has been offering us support, and this is sitting directly below us towards this zone of this 30,173 level. So this is looking at the potential that this could be 1 2 here, and then we look for this bigger third wave. Now, if we're looking at this as a W, an X, and a Y, it is always possible that this could be A, B, and C, and what we could actually see is a move back up towards this zone here of this 31,110 level, which would be looking to actually sweep this high. So if we do just get something like this as a three-wave move up here, I would be thinking that it's more likely that this is W, X, and Y here, but it also could be something like this 1 2 1 2, and then we could be looking for that much bigger push to the upside. So we need to just bear in mind, as long as this zone of this 29,930 holds, technically it's possible we could be starting to look for something like this as a bigger move to the upside. Now, the other way we could argue that this fifth wave is starting is looking at this like this. So I'm actually going to come into the 15-minute time frame here. And we're going to go over this potential. So we'd be looking at the potential that this is 1, 2, this is 1, 2 here. And effectively from this point here, what we could actually have is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this would mean that we have a 5-wave move potentially completed here. But what I don't like about it is the 1.618 is slightly higher than where this wave 3 is. So it is possible that within here we could actually have even more extension. Now, the extremely bullish case here would actually be that within this count, what we have is that this is 1, 2, this is another 1, 2 here, this is 1, and we've actually come down already into this golden pocket. So looking at this orange target box area here, what we can see is that we've actually come down already and we've hit this 0.618. Now, if this is the case and we are having extension like this, where this becomes another 1 and a 2 here, what we could actually see is a push up towards this 31,037 level, in which case what we'd then have is that this would be 1, 2, 3, we'd look for a 4th and a 5th, and then we'd have extension from here. This would become a 4th and a 5th, and we'd actually be looking to push up a lot higher in this way. Now, if we are looking for that possibility of a 5th wave here, what we could be looking for is, like I said previously, looking for that potential of having this move up towards this 32,942 to this 32,216. So this would be looking at this actually extending directly out here without having that bigger pullback where we look at this as a 1, 2. So this would be looking for this to just continue to extend out. Now, some other areas that we'd be looking for here is that if this is a 1, 2 here, we'd actually be looking for this 31,140, looking for this as 1, 2, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we move up something like this, then it starts to confirm that idea of actually getting these additional 4ths and 5ths. So this is going to be a key level within this extremely bullish case here. If, however, we just get this move as a expansion here where we actually move up towards this 30,884 and we start to get a 3-wave move down, what we could actually see is the potential that we have these additional 4ths and 5ths here in yellow, where we're looking for a move back down, looking to hold this 30,559 before looking for another 5-wave move to the upside, looking to target out this 31,000 to this 30,943. Then we'd be looking for that potential of that additional 5th wave to the upside here, which could look to take us up towards this 31,194 to this 31,062 level. So if we did see something along these lines here, where we see this move develop as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5 up into these areas here, we'd have to be on the lookout that this could actually just be a wave 1 or an A wave, in which case what we'd then be looking for confirmation of more moves to the upside would be this move to play out 3 waves down, looking to hold this 30,179. Now, once again, we'd have good confluence here with the center of this channel here. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do see price continue to push up in this way, obviously when we start to extend, we need to just be cautious because sometimes, you know, the waves are still developing. So what I'm counting is a full structure. And this is why I've got this target area here of this 31,140 and this 31,000 here, is because as it's developing here, we can be following a structure, but then somewhere in here we have a nestled 1, 2, then we just have a big explosion here, and then the count only becomes apparent later on. So this is looking at that possibility of an impulse here, looking for this 5th wave. If we did get a 5-wave move like this, we'd have to be careful it's not a truncation. Confirmation of that would actually come by crossing this 29,930 level again, and that would be looking for something like a 5-wave move to the downside to invalidate this idea of continuation. So that would be looking at those 2 possibilities that we could be looking to break to the upside directly here. Now, there are some other ways of looking at this. Like I said, you know, we could potentially still be in that X wave. So we discussed the idea of the flat here, where we were saying that this could be A, B, and C. Now, like I said, we could potentially have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we actually just start to break down in another leg here, where this is either A, B, and C, and we get a 5-wave move, or we get a 3-wave move down and it's W, X, Y. So gonna have to keep an eye on that. If we do start to reject down here, we could be looking for that lower target of this Y wave, which would be this 29,353 level. So that's going to be our target to the downside if this is a W, X, and a Y here. Now, I want to talk about something else. So this is actually looking at this structure slightly different. So from further back here, I'm actually going to come back onto the hourly here. If we want to argue that from further back here, what we have is that this is 1, 2, 3 up into here. What we could see is something along these lines where we're actually still within a triangle. Now, this could mean that we're actually in a fourth wave triangle where this becomes A, B, C. We get a D wave up here, and then we see an E wave to the downside. Now, confirmation would only come on actually this D wave forming. So if we do just see price form something like this, A, B, C to the upside here, what we could then actually see is a rejection between this 30,849 to this 30,897 level. Now, if we do actually see this push up higher here, I would be very interested in this 786 region, which is sitting here towards this 31,104. So if we see price move up here in 3 waves, something like this, what we could actually see is that this triangle would actually just move slightly like this. The reason that I have it here is just trying to find an intersection here between this 0.618 area. Now, the key thing here is that if this is a triangle, I wouldn't want to see this drop back down below this 29,525, and we wouldn't want to see it break directly up here past this area of this 31,431. If we were looking at this as a triangle here, what I'd want to see is ABC up into here, and then a 3-wave move back down. So once again, this aligns with that idea of coming back into the central channel line here. If we had to reject from our current area, the target would be this 30,252 to this 30,225. As well as that, there would be this 0.618 here, this 0.782 here, which is sitting at this 30,110 level. So what I want to see here is that if we do see this break down in this way in a 3-wave move, potentially this could actually still mean that we have that 5th wave target within this count, where instead of looking at this 5th wave already being completed up here towards the zone of this 31,530 level, we could actually see price come back up here and look to test some of these higher zones. So actually our target with this would be slightly skewed because of the fact that our 3rd wave is over here. So I'd be looking out for this 31,608 as a possible zone, but then as well, like we've discussed previously, you know, we've got that possibility that we could look to actually have an interaction with this 31,765, which would be looking to actually retest a swing high on the left hand side there. So this has been looking at the possibility of that continuation up. Now, if we want to argue that this is potentially completed, where this is actually just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nice and simple, we could be looking for something like this as a bigger 3-wave move to the downside, looking to target out this lower zone here between this 28,693 to this 26,084. So if we are looking at something like this, where we're actually setting up for this bigger drop here, what we could actually be getting is something more bearish here, where we could argue that within this count, we could be looking at something like a breakdown. So as long as we actually stay below these 2 levels, which would be this 31,046 level and this area here of this 31,431, we need to just have this, you know, in the back of our minds, because we are also coming up into this typical rejection zone here. So I'm actually going to throw this 0.854 on here, which would be this 30,885. So if we do just see this as A, B, and C to the upside here, this could actually be setting us up for a deeper drop. So what we need to be cautious of here is that if we reject in this orange target box area and we see a 5-wave move to the downside, which pushes us down towards this 28,992 level, what we could then see is that potential that we're actually starting to extend out here. And what we have is 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we'd get this as a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th here. And then we'd actually be looking for that potential of an additional 4th and a 5th. Yeah, where we would be looking for one more push to the upside for this 4th wave, where we get ABC. And what I'd be looking for as a target area would be this previous 4th wave area. Now, the interesting thing about this is if we're looking at this as a 1, 2, and then this is another 1, 2, and if we actually follow this count as I have it laid out here, this could align with actually getting this move down here towards this 2.618, which is sitting here towards this 28,472 level, which would be an interesting zone because we would be looking to come back into some of these swing highs with something like this. So if this is a 5-wave move off this high here, though, it would be very difficult to say that this is A, B, and C as a flat correction here. It would be more likely that this would then become our A wave. It would actually get a 3-wave move back to the upside here. And what we'd be looking for as a potential target area here would be this 30,736 to this 29,830. So if we do see something like this play out where we get a bigger 5-wave move to the downside here, we can't manage to get back above this 31,046 or this 31,431. What we could see is price react to the downside in this being an A, a B, and a C, or alternatively in the more bearish situation that could actually set us up for that idea of that impulse to the downside in that C wave, where this is actually, you know, a B wave high and we're looking for a 5-wave move to the downside. So it's going to be very crucial here to see how this plays out exactly. For as long as we hold this upper area here, I am thinking it's more likely we're going to get that 5th, but we're going to have to see whether we can manage to break back above these key levels to invalidate this this bearish potential here. Like I said, you know, if we are looking at that possibility of finding support lower down here, it would be currently between the zone of this 28,693. So this would be a 0.382 retracement, which is a minimum sort of retracement we look for a wave 2, but it's not as common as these lower targets over here. So it's going to be more important for us to watch how this structure actually develops here. If we start to develop that impulsive structure down, something like this, what this could actually mean is that we're going to see something like this where we get a retest back into this channel line here and we see price get gravitated down towards these levels. Okay, so now I'd also want to just go over some other things here. I want to just flip on the CPR here. We're going to go over the daily pivot points that we have. We can see that we are currently holding the central line. So now we've actually moved up already to this S1 target. If we do see price move back up here, we have this S2 sitting at this 31.29, which is going to be interesting because it aligns with this swing high over here. And I'd be interested to see how we react. If we do see that idea of that extension to the upside here, what we could actually see is something like this, where we push up here, we find support again on this target, and then we look to push up through these different levels. So if we are looking at that, we have the S3 at this 31,379, and we have the S4 at this 31,763. Now, if we're talking about that possibility where we have this as a flat correction here, and we're going to see continuation to the downside, if we do start to lose these central lines towards this 30,288, I'll be keeping an eye on this R1, which is sitting here at this 29,907, the R2 at this 29,559, the R3 down here towards this 29,173, and the R4 at this 28,816. So that is looking at the daily CPR. Now, looking at the weekly CPR here, what we can see is that we still have these central lines here as potential support zones here. So if we do see something like this as W, X, and a Y, what we could see is price could actually still look to come back down to this lower level here, where we look to retest the central line sitting here towards this 29,382. And then we also have the lower line towards this 28,836. So I'll be looking out for that potential here. If we do look to move down, this could align quite nicely with coming into this lower zone here. So going to have to just keep an eye on that level and see if we actually do start to break down, whether it actually holds as support. Now, if we do start to look to break down in a bigger way this week, what we could argue is we could be setting up for that 1-2-1-2 idea, in which case this R1 target here at this 27,347 could actually be an interesting zone. As well as that, if we're looking at that bearish potential where we're going to see a bigger 5-wave move down, we have this 24,210 and this 22,174 as possible target areas. Now, these lower target areas would indicate that we are getting a C wave to the downside, where we'd be looking for that bigger idea that we've discussed. My primary count here is that we could be looking for this move here as a bigger W and X and a Y if we get a 3-wave move down, or alternatively, if we do look to push down into these lower ranges here in a 5-wave structure, what we could get is something like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looking to target out this 25k to this 23,373 level. So this is going to be our key zone here if we are looking at this as a flat correction on the bigger picture. But yeah, we would need to just wait for, you know, confirmation of this. I need to see something telling me that there's, you know, that downside playing out. That idea of that 5-wave move down would be looking for that confirmation. So actually coming here and having a look at the monthly, what we can see is we are still in between the S1 and the S2 line. I would be looking out for that potential that if we do get a 5-wave move up here for a 5th, this S2 line at this 31,623 could be particularly interesting. If it does look to extend out, however, we do have this S3 sitting towards this 33,412, so that could be an interesting zone. Now, if we are looking at that possibility that throughout this month, we could actually see price get gravitated back to the downside here, I'll be keeping an eye on this S1 at this 29,419 as potential support zone for that idea of that W, X, and a Y here. Alternatively, if it does start to get more aggressive to the downside, we have these central lines sitting here between this 27,800 and this level here of this 27,400. So going to be keeping an eye on that if we do see price move into those levels. And then obviously throughout the month, if we do see price breakdown deeper, we have the R1 at this 25,423, the R2 at this 25,584, and then the R3 lower down here towards this 21,417. So that would align with that idea of that flat correction. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it and just see how it develops. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.